Greetings, everyone. I have been asked to share some of the African centered work that has gone on in my classroom over the last 3 years. And so I'm going to share some slides with you that contain photographs and other work products that are evidence of engagements that have taken place in room 290. We start the year focusing on the continents of the world, and this isn't something that we take a lot of time discussing, but we do situate ourselves that we live on the continent of North America in the country of the United States, and that Africa is a continent with many countries, and that knowledge has been spread across the world throughout the diaspora through people of African descent and others that have learned from people of African descent. We have an area in our room that the students have designated as our Africa Center. It started relatively recently, a couple of months prior to our March 16th leave from the building. And so in this, what they call the African Center, it has maps, it has cloth, it has photographs, flags, and other things that I have collected locally as I've traveled throughout the United States and gone to culture shops, which they're commonly called, but then also my travels to both Ghana and Cameroon. Also, you'll see here on the far right, here is a KWL that we created with Ms. Hall and some of the knowledge that was gained during her study of Africa with the students. We also utilize videos, songs, and drumming. This video is from the show Arthur, and it focuses on the countries of Africa, and it gives just a little snippet through video footage of some of the highlights. So it doesn't focus on animals per se, it focuses on the people, how they live, and it gives them just a little hint of each country in just about a 4-minute video. And so that's a great way to introduce children to Africa and its many countries. Also, you'll see to the right Queen T, who is a local African dance choreographer, and she shared some of her knowledge gained through her travels, and then she also taught the students African dance during an African dance session. Here you see some of the different items that were brought back from my travels to Cameroon and to Ghana, instruments and game pieces, ink stamps, mud cloth, drums. This is a broom that is commonly used in some parts of West Africa just to, tidy an area. And then this is an art piece that was created by a Ghanaian student, and it focuses on the differences between equality and equity. Also, I will talk very briefly about Adinkra symbols and how Ghanaian Adinkra symbols, you probably have seen different places on people's t-shirts and jewelry, and how these symbols can be used as a proxy for values that we should espouse within our classroom and within our lives. We use the mud cloth for storytelling and sequencing. We see an artisan here. His name is Nana Kwesi, and this is a video that I captured with his permission while I was in Ghana as he was explaining the making of the mud cloth. And that's what's actually featured on this particular mud cloth. And so the students follow as he is giving this explanation, and we talk about the sequencing of the making of the mud cloth. And then we extend that into other sequencing discussions. Representation is important. So throughout the classroom, you will see artwork that the students have created, artwork that I brought back from my travels, artwork that I've picked up locally at festivals and when I go to different shops. Also, what you will see is a presence of the students' artwork where they have really focused in on making sure they represent themselves accurately. So that means that we have what they consider multicultural crayons and paper that we utilize so that students can find the brown or the tan or the peach that matches their actual skin tone. And so we do a study of skin tones and loving oneself, but then we also talk about why certain skin tones are looked at in a negative light, especially darker browns and darker tans, and where that came from, and why we have to counter that with edifying each other and really focusing on the inward and outward beauty of every person. Also, you'll see posted in the classroom are small poster similar to the one that I created here. During one of our initial PDs with Susie Long, we were going in and we were looking at the knowledge gained from the various parts of the continent, such as mathematics and art and science. And so during that PD, I actually made this and it's displayed in my classroom. And it goes along with some of the math content that is posted on the wall. And it just focuses on some of the mathematics knowledge that we gained from ancient Africa. And you can see it's displayed here along with our numbers 1 through 20, but then you also see the hands that are using what they consider that multicultural construction paper, because those students match their hands and match the skin tone as we were counting by fives. Here you see Adinkra symbols that are being used again as a proxy for the values we want to espouse. So we took the school-wide expectations and then we matched the Adinkra symbol that would have that same value associated with it. So for respecting all people and property, we chose this symbol, which means unity in human relations. Solving problems peacefully, we chose the symbol for peace and harmony. These are other Adinkra symbols that you'll see in our classroom. Sankofa, which means learning from our past or gaining the wisdom from our past, and it helps us to build the future. And then also on our project binder, you see this symbol for knowledge, because as we are creating knowledge and gaining knowledge, we house some of our products in that particular binder. This is a badge for Zaria, and you'll see that on the badge for our class roles, as each child has a job throughout the year, they wear their badge, and the badge has an Adinkra symbol, which means contributing to the community. Here, we also focus on family and communalism. And you see the Adinkra symbol that's here, but then also we keep this display prominent with all of the students' families and other pictures of our extended family. So each picture that we take as a faculty or staff, or pictures that the students bring in beyond just their first day of school picture when they come in for either their first day or for orientation, we just keep adding to our family display. There are times where we incorporate other African dance. So here you see we have a little 5-minute African dance lesson that we've done. And then this is Kemetic yoga. Also talking about representation and how representation is important. When we study Hidden Figures, we often post those faces in the room in a prominent place so that students have this constant reference. And then we also study others that are closer to the age of the students, and we talk about stories that are relevant to them, and we connect that to our 7 mindsets. So the time is now. We have Coco Gauff. We have Simone Biles. We have We Are Connected, the story of this African-American student who was comforting his white classmate who was afraid of entering the school. And they talked about just the relationship between the two of them. So we try to constantly make these connections. And then lastly, we also have a Kwanzaa celebration. And each year when we've had our grade level rotations, I have taught the first graders about Kwanzaa, and then my class does a more extended Kwanzaa celebration. So these are just some of the ways that we center Africa in our work in room 290. And if you have any questions, just let me know.